Hello there everyone, my name is Nathan Birch. Today we're going to be going through our exercise 1 of our lesson 2, exploring JavaScript data structures. So we have some instructions here, some goals of things that we're going to do today. I'm just going to dive right into the actual activity. So let's go ahead and create a JavaScript file. So I have my text editor open. If I just hit Control or Command N, it'll open up a new untitled document. And so I'll hit Control S, and I'm going to save this. And actually, I'm going to hit cancel real quick. So here's my JavaScript 1 folder. And so I'm going to right click on this. I'll go ahead and make a new folder for our second lesson. And then I'll make a new file called, I'll just call it hands-on1.js. Okay, here's our JavaScript file. So let's go ahead and do this. So it says each on its own line of code, declare new variables of the following data types by assigning a value to it. So let's go ahead and declare a variable called name. And so that's all I have to do to declare it. If I want to make it a string, I have to actually assign it a string. Okay, this is now a string. I could also give it a value and say, oh yeah, my name is Nathan Birch. Okay, there's our first one. I could also put a comment in here that says, hey, here's our string. Our next one is going to be a number, and then we'll have an object, an array, and then finally a function. All right, so to declare a number, I'll just say let favorite number equals, and then I could just throw in some random number. Okay, now it doesn't matter if it is a decimal or a negative number. I could do all of that and it would still be valid, JavaScript, and it would recognize it as a number. Okay. To declare an object, let's kind of combine these two. So I'm going to say let person equals, and then to make an object, we always use these curly braces. Now I don't have to make a new line for this. I could leave it on the same line, but I'm going to go ahead and put a name in here, and I'll say the name is Nathan, and maybe they have a favorite number. That's 56. Okay, and so an object, I can have as many attributes as I want. I could put eye color, first name or last name, address, phone number, social, anything. Okay, but this is what an object looks like. And for as many things that I put in here, I would just add a comma to the end of the previous line, and then you can see I can have multiple data types in here. So name in and of itself is a string, favorite number is a number, and eye color is a string. Okay. Well, if I really wanted to, I could also put an object. I could say, let's see, house, for example. And then maybe that house would have an address, which would be, 567 North Main is that address. And then maybe the house has a color. Let's say the house is blue. Maybe the house has a zip code. Okay. And so you can see an object can store pretty much anything. Okay. You can see I have a nested object right here, but this is what an object looks like. Okay. Let's go ahead and do an array. So let's say I want to list the heights of everyone in a family. So I could say let heights equals, and then when I declare an array, I'm going to use square brackets. And then I could say, oh yeah, we have someone who's 60 inches tall and 50 and 48 and 31, and we got a really tall guy in here who's like 75. Okay, that is an array of numbers. If I wanted to, I could put a string in here. This is not good practice because it makes my array not consistent between all the elements. So I would encourage you to not do that. If you have an array of strings, great. If you have an array of numbers, great. Otherwise, you might consider using an object or something else. Going back to my object up here, I could totally put an array in here and say, I'll just say random numbers equals, and then I could have an array in here as well. That's giving me an error because I didn't put a comma here. Okay, as soon as I put that comma there, then JavaScript will expect another variable. All right, last one. Let's go ahead and make a function. I could declare a function the same way and say let function name equals function. Okay, I can declare a function like that. I never do. I usually go like this. Function name equals, whoops. Okay, it's just a little bit shorter, but these do the exact same thing. Okay, so if this is easier for you because you're like, yeah, I'm used to like declaring variables with let or var, with the name of the variable or function in this case, then you can go ahead and do this. That's totally fine. But you will always see me doing it like this. Whoops. Okay, and so for my function, I'll go ahead and just say compute circumference. Okay, to do that, we will need a radius, which is a piece of data that can get passed into the function as a parameter. And then in here, I would just say return, and I'm pretty sure the function is pi r squared to get the circumference. So I would say r times r, that's r squared, right? And then I just need pi. Now I haven't showed you this yet, but to get pi in JavaScript, there's a math object which has pi in it. So I'd say pi times r, and if I just say return, then that will compute the circumference and then return that circumference value to wherever called it. Okay. Okay, now let's go ahead and log each one of these to the console. Okay, I haven't run this yet. I haven't tried it yet. I could though. I'll hit run and I'll say run without debugging. And let's do it in, I'll click on Node here. Okay, that doesn't work. Give me 1 second here. I am actually on a new computer. Let's try something. Code extension. Oh, I don't think I have my extensions. Hang on a sec, you guys. So this will be good, because if anyone else is having issues trying to run this, then you guys can do this too. So Code Runner is the name of the extension that I need installed to run it here in VS Code. And then I'll also want Live Server. Oh, and that one is installed, of course. All right, but that one, we did Code Runner. Oh, look, and there's our run button. I was wondering why that wasn't there, because I didn't have Code Runner installed. Now I should just be able to run that, and it should just show up down here. And it looks like it worked. Okay, so let's try that, but this time let's actually log these to the console. Okay, so I have all these variable names, and so I'm just going to say console.log. All right, and then I'm going to Control C and Control V a few times, and then I'm going to select this and hold Control and click that, and that, and that. So that's 4. And let's try that too. That's 5. Okay. Control C to copy, and then holding Control also to select 5 of these, and I'll paste. Okay. So for each one of those, we're just going to print it and see what happens. Okay. So I'm going to run this. Node command not found. It looks like it's wanting me to install Node. So if you're getting this error, let me show you guys how to fix that real quick. So I actually need to install Node on this computer anyways. So I'm going to go to Node and download from Mac OS. I'll download the current one. And I'm just going to go ahead and install this real fast. All right, so I just installed it. I left all the default settings there to install it. And then I hit my run button again and look at the error that I got. Okay, it says random numbers equals invalid shorthand property initializer. That's because this is inside of an object. Okay, so inside of an object, when I want to assign a value to a key inside of an object, I need to use this colon. So I'll save that and I'll try running it again. Okay, and you can see it ran, nothing happened. Let's see here. That's interesting though, it should have. Let me try. I'm just going to comment out this line of code because I was expecting it to display those values in the, there it is, okay. Yeah, so it didn't like that I tried to display the function, and you notice that when that was here, that this was a different color. We can't really print a function to a console. Okay, what I could do is I could call the function right here and give it a radius. Okay, that's how I actually call a function. And so very similar to when we call console.log, that's a function call. And then inside of the parentheses, I can say, hey, whatever I give to this function, that's what I want to have displayed in the console. Okay, so right here, I'm calling compute circumference, and I'll give it a radius of 5, and then it'll say 3.14 times 5 times 5, and it'll print that to the console. So let's try that now. I'll run it again, come down here, and ooh, R is not defined. Okay, so let's come back up here. We defined radius, and then we used R. So either I could change that to R, or I could change both these to radius. It would do the same thing. Okay, so in here, I'm just going to say, oh, can't clear it. That's okay. I'll go ahead and leave it. Oh, right there. There's the clear button. All right, nice and clear. I'm going to hit the run button. And look at that. There's the circumference of our function call. There's heights being printed. Okay. Here's our person object right there. Favorite number is 5. And my name is Nathan Birch. Okay. So you can see we declared all these different data types. And then we logged all of them to the console. Okay, sweet. Now let's go ahead and go to the next step. Use the run button, check. Having written code to declare and log these variables, now write code to display them in the console of the browser. All right, so anytime I want to run anything in the browser, I need to make an HTML file. So I'm going to say hands-on1.html. Use our shortcut that I taught you guys a couple of days ago, and there's my HTML file. I'll go ahead and put a paragraph in here that says, this is my class activity. Nice little happy face there. Now I can run this. I'm going to right click here and say open with live server. And it should just pop up over here. You see that? There's my beautiful paragraph. Okay. And then to see the console in the browser, you can just right click and hit inspect. And then click on console, and there's our console. Okay. Now, nothing is showing up here. This is where all of this stuff will show up. But to get it to show up, we need to reference this hands-on.js file. Currently, they're not connected at all. So right here in the head, I'll go ahead and hit source. Whoops, nope, script. Sorry, guys. So script, and we'll give it a source attribute of hands-on1.js. Okay, now it'll reference it, and it should run all that code in there. I hit save, I hit Control S to save it, and you can see these already popped up over here in the console because of the live server that refreshed it. Okay, pretty slick, right? We just ran that in the browser. All right, let's see if we missed anything. Nope, that was it. That was a really long video, guys. I apologize for that, but I hope that this was helpful, kind of seeing that process of how to declare all of these things, and then also how to run it in the browser so that we could see this come up in the browser. Now, once this is here in the browser, I can do all sorts of stuff with this. I now have more functions available to me. And so one example, let me see here. Yeah, so I don't ask you guys to do this, but one function that's available in the browser that is not available without it is called an alert function. Okay, and so you can see I just took out console log and I put an alert for all those. I'll hit save, and you can see now it's going to like show these little pop-up boxes. Nathan Birch, 5, object. It had trouble printing that big object. We have our array, our number or our heights array, and then our circumference that was computed. And you can see now nothing was logged to the console. Okay. Anyways, I hope that was helpful. I'm going to put that back to console.log for when I put this into a zip file for you guys. But yeah, I will talk to you guys soon.